Hi there, this is Mrs. Philippak, and we're going to do a quick little tutorial on how to find slope if you're given a table. So our first table is the number of minutes and the number of breaths a typical person takes in resting. So this is the x value, the independent variable, and this is the dependent variable. So when you find slope, you want to find the change in y over the change in x. This is also known as your rise on the graph, and this is also known as your run. So the rise goes up and down, the run goes side to side. The rise is the y, the run is the x. So if we're looking at the x values, this is an increase of 1, and this is your run. So 1 is your run. And if you look at the y values, this is an increase of 16 every single time. If you don't know, you could put this in the calculator. You're subtracting the biggest from the one before, or the last entry. So each time 64 minus 48 is 16. So 16 is the rise. So your slope is 16 over 1. So your unit rate is 16 breaths per minute. Your fun fact number 2, this is the months, and this is how much your nail grows in millimeters. So why don't you hit pause and see if you can find the slope of this, just like we did last time. All right, so hopefully you subtracted the last y entry from the previous y entry, getting 3 every single time. If it's a constant 3, that means we have a line and we can find the slope, or if it's a constant number. In the x's, it's going up by 1, and you need to make sure the x's are going up by 1 if you're just going to look at this number. The rise is your y change, the run is your x change, so when you find slope, remember that is rise over run, so that is the change in y over the change in x, so that is 3 over 1. So the unit rate, the slope, is that a nail grows 3 millimeters per month. Here's your next fun fact. This is a table of number of seconds and number of basketball dribbles per second. This is the Guinness Book of World Records person. So 3 seconds is 30.45 dribbles, 5 seconds, 50.75. So the question is, what is the slope? Now, quickly, a red alert, this is not going up by 1. So take note of that. We're going to be dividing by something when we do the rise over the run. So the x value, the run, this is your x, your run, is going up by 2 this time. And then your rise, your y, is going up by 20.30. And you can grab your calculator and subtract that last number from the previous number. So to find the slope, you're going to divide the rise over the run, change in y, over the change in x. This is your unit rate. So 20.30 divided by 2 is 10.15. So that guy was low and dribbling. This x value is the minutes, and the y value is the number of words people can get in a text. So as you'll notice, in the x value, this goes down by 2, and then this goes down by 3, and this also goes down by 3. So that's a little bit different than what we've seen so far. And in the y value, this goes down, well, 84 is the increase here, that's the difference. And this subtract this is 126, and this subtract this is also 126. Now, when you're finding your slope, you do want to use the same increment. So we could either find slope using these, or these, or these. Hopefully we'll get the exact same thing if it's linear. So the rise over the run, if you check this one, 126 over 3, remember that's the y change over the x change, that divides out to give you exactly 42. This is going to be the same. Let's check this. 84 divided by 2 is also 42. So a typical person can text 42 words per minute. Another thing that you could do is you could fill in the missing numbers if that's helpful. So you could write that 2 gives you 84, and 3 gives you 126, and 5 gives you 210, 6 gives you 252, and 8 would give you 336. And then you could find the unit rate like that. That's another method. If you did that way, you would get 42 every single time. 42, 42, as x goes up by 1. So there's definitely more than one method. Right, so go ahead and hit pause and try this one. This is the day, and this is the height of bamboo in inches. There's like 1,000 different bamboos, and this is the fastest growing bamboo. So go ahead and hit pause and see if you can get the slope, the unit rate. All right, well, you could have put the missing numbers in, if that's helpful. You could also have just subtracted and notice every time as x goes up by. And if you subtract 317 minus 12, you get 105. So the slope is 105. That's the y value. This is the rise over the x value, which is the run, which is 3. When you divide that out, you get 35. Now, you could have tried to figure out what goes in between these and just gotten the unit rate that way, the slope, 1 and 35. This might be a little more difficult until you actually find the slope, but every single time the pink numbers, the pink was going up by 3 as the y value was going up by 105, and 105 over 3 is 35, which is the same thing as 35 over 1 being 35. So this crazy bamboo grows 35 inches a day. Next up, we have a table with only 2 numbers. So probably the easiest thing to do is just find the rise and the run. The rise is your change in y. The run is your change in x. So you might want to grab a calculator here. 1590 minus 318 is 1,272, and 5 minus 1 is 4. And if you do 1,272 divided by 4, you get 318. So this fighter jet climbs 318 meters per second. So again, to find this, you're doing 1590 minus 318, and to find this, you're doing 5 minus 1. You can do that in the opposite order, but you're going to get negative numbers, so I would like to just keep things positive, so I'm going to give you one to try now. All right, go ahead and hit pause and see if you can figure out this slope. This is the months and the length of hair. So hopefully you got 0.5 and 1 for this amount, and then this amount is 7 and 3.5. So if you're finding the slope with this, 3.5 over 7 is 0.5 or 1/2. And if you're finding the slope with these two, you're also getting 0.5 over 1, which is 0.5. So your hair grows half a meter. So your hair grows half an inch per month. Our next table is the day and the pages in the book that are left to read. So this one's a little bit different because as the x goes up, the y is going down. So the opposite is happening. It's an inverse relationship. So our slope is probably, definitely going to be negative because as x goes up, y goes down. So you'll notice the x is going up by 4 and the y is going down by 100. So I'm going to put a negative 100 there. So when I find the slope, which is also known as m, we're going to do negative 100 divided by 4. All of these are negative 100 over 4, and that is negative 25. So this means you're reading 25 pages a day. All right, last problem. Go ahead and see if you can find the unit rate, the slope for this. Hit pause, and when you have it, hit play. So in this part, as x goes up by 2, y is going down by 14. In this part, as x is going up by 3, y is going down by 21. And I'm going to put a negative next to that 14. So the slope for this interval is negative 14 over 2, which is negative 7. And the slope for this interval is negative 21 over 3, which is also negative 7. So that means every day you're spending $7 exactly. Ooh, you can't see the bottom part. There you go. All right, hopefully that is explanatory for you finding slopes with tables. And there is another video for slope with a graph and slope with 2 points. They're all kind of interchangeable. You can actually use a table for every single one if you are feeling one with the table. So enjoy slope.